Hello and welcome to another vlog.
Mort, we're being held somehow.
On screen.
Hey Mort, Greenstuff Gav here.
Greenstuff Gav, my old nemesis.
What?
Well, you did beat me at Blood Bowl when we played that one time.
I suppose.
Who is this person? What do we want?
I hear you've got quite a collection of the Realm of Chaos books.
Oh, these books here I'm conspicuously framed next to.
What I don't understand is, for all of your old school goodness, how is it you've not used the best part of these books?
The random picture of the woman in lingerie?
Random Mutation Tables. I loved Road Trader page 53. Fantastic. I'd like to see you do something with those Random Mutation Tables.
Okay, but I want to see you do one too.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. I'll roll something up as well and let's see what we can do.
And just to make it more interesting, what we'll do is we'll swap miniatures and we'll paint what each other has built.
Yeah, sounds good. Remember, have fun.
Oh great, it's going to be one of those contrived crossovers.
So, here's what me and Gav have agreed to do. First of all, we roll to determine a base creature using the retinue table on page 60 and 61 of Realm of Chaos Slaves to Darkness. We'll be doing one miniature each, so obviously that's one of whatever creature is rolled up, no matter what the table may say about multiple creatures. Then, to determine the mutations, we're going to roll 6 times on the Personal Attributes table, which is on page 113. The miniatures will be 28/30mm in scale, and fantasy themed with an old hammer vibe. If any mutation comes up that's more of a painting thing than the modelling thing, for example, brightly patterned skin, we'll include it on a note when we send the miniature off to the other person for painting. There will be no time limit to build or paint the models because we both have jobs and lives outside of YouTube. Okay, first roll, 97. So that is 99 to 95. Wolves. So a wolf then. Okay, first roll on the personal attributes table. 956. 956. Warp Frenzy. The mutant becomes subject to Frenzy of a particularly virulent type. When it becomes frenzied, it gains d6 plus 6 extra chaos attributes. These extra attributes can be generated randomly whenever the frenzy strikes. Determine now and noted for later use, or you can roll a d6 and consult the table below to determine the extra chaos attributes that the mutant gains when it is in the throes of its terrible frenzy. Yeah, I'm just going to roll the d6. Number 4. Blood Rage. Crown of Flesh, Fingers. Eye Stalks, Iron Hard Skin. Overgrown Body Part, Feet. Mechanoid, Arms. Plague Bearer, The Shakes. Spits Acid, Vampire, Weapon Master. We'll come back to those in a bit. Second roll. 207. 201 to 210, blood substitution. The nature of the mutant's blood changes radically. Roll a d6 to determine the nature of the change. 5, which is molten metal. Increase the mutant's toughness by 2. Whenever the mutant is wounded, molten metal jets from the wound. Any opponents take 1 strength 3 hit. The molten metal will also ignite any flammable substances within 2 inches/4 yards radius of the mutant. When the mutant is killed, it will explode, causing 1 strength 4 hits to anyone within 5 inches/10 yards. Third roll. 331. 331 to 335. Elastic limbs. The mutant can stretch out its limbs at will, up to 1 plus d6 inches / 2 plus 2d6 yards. It can make hand-to-hand attacks at this distance. Opponents may only strike back after making a successful initiative test. Chaos armor will stretch with the limb to provide some protection. Other armor retains its normal shape and the limb is treated as unarmored when the opponent strikes back. Fourth roll. This is gonna go crazy. 725. 721 to 725. Poisonous bite. The mutant grows vicious fangs and its bite becomes poisonous, giving it a bite attack if it does not already have one. Attack +1. See Poisonous Attack, page 9. Fifth roll. 762. 761 to 765. Razor sharp claws. The mutant grows long, sharp claws on its hands, tentacles, or paws. The mutant may make one claw attack, attack +1, which causes hits the mutant's strength +1. And finally, the sixth roll. 11 to 15, agility. The mutant becomes extraordinarily agile. Now, because of Warp Frenzy, I've ended up with a creature that's essentially got two forms. And we're only going to do one miniature, so I've decided to build my creature in its Warp Frenzied form. So let's take a look at the Chaos attributes the mutant gains when it's in the throes of its terrible frenzy. Blood Rage. The mutant becomes subject to frenzy when within 12 inches / 24 yards of a wounded creature, including itself. The frenzy lasts for 2d6 turns even if there is no more blood to be seen. If there are no enemies in sight, the mutant will attack a friend or ally, unless it makes a successful cool test. The test is repeated if the mutant slays its opponent. The mutant's toughness increases by 1. Crown of Flesh. The mutant develops a ring of fleshy protuberances around its head. In this case, fingers. This attribute has no effects on the mutant's profile, although it does give the mutant 1 fear point. Chaos armor will change shape to accommodate the mutant's new head decorations. The mutant can no longer wear a helmet or other non-magical headgear. Eye stalks. The mutant has stalked eyes similar to a crab. Increase the mutant's fear points by 1. 10% of all head hits will sever an eye stalk but cause no further damage. Helmets provide no protection to the eye stalks. Iron hard skin. The mutant's skin is covered in tiny overlapping iron and steel scales, attached to one another by rivets marked with the rune of the mutant's patron Chaos power. Increase its fear points by 1. This metallic scaly skin gives the mutant a bonus of +3 to its armor saving throw. Overgrown body part. Part of the mutant's body becomes huge and overgrown. Well, in this case it's gonna be the feet. Mechanoid. The mutant becomes a creature of metal, or has mechanical parts substituted for some or all of its natural limbs or organs. Increase the mutant's fear points total by 2. In this case it's gonna be arms. Plague Bearer. The mutant carries some form of hideous, chaos-tainted disease. In this case, we've got the shakes. The mutant is afflicted with terrible, uncontrollable shaking fits, to the extent that it can no longer control its muscles and limbs properly. Reduce weapon skill by 1/10, and attacks by 1 as a result of this palsy. Spits acid. The mutant may spit acid rather than making one other attack. It may spit acid up to 5 inches / 10 yards using ballistic skill to determine whether the acid has struck its target, causing a strength 3 hit. A mutant may not bite and spit acid on the same turn. Vampire. The mutant's metabolism changes so it can no longer survive without a regular intake of warm, fresh blood. the mutant's appearance becomes gradually more pale and cadaverous, and its temperature drops to a sepulchral chill, but it gains none of the ability of a true vampire. It does, however, gain 2 fear points. Weapon Master. The mutant gains an innate understanding of how to use weapons to the best effect in the service of chaos. Increase either weapon skill or ballistic skill, player's choice as to which, by 6/68 to a maximum of 10/100. So, as with any build like this, I started out by looking through my bits boxes. Okay, let's have a look at the bits I've found. Right, so for the main body, I've got this Citadel Lord of the Rings warg with obviously the head missing. Don't know what the head went on to, but that's the bit I've got. The tail on that's not particularly wolf-like, so I've got an old Goblin Wolf Rider's wolf tail there. And for the head, I'm going to use probably most of the front quarters of this new and otherwise quite horrible Chaos Hound model. It's got the nice big fanged jaws there and barely visible eyes, which I can sort of trim away with a knife, because it's going to have eye stalks. And for the eye stalks, I've got these, which were cut off a conversion of a Beholder model I did, so I've got a bunch of those lying around. I thought I'd use those for the eye stalks. For the mechanoid arms, I've got these bits of some kind of Warjack model. I don't know which, I think one of the Crix ones. And got these Chaos Warrior arms to get the hands off. There we go. And it's a Weapon Master, so I thought I'd give it a weapon. So in that hand, I'm going to put this sword borrowed from a Hero Quest Orc. For the oversized feet and razor-sharp claws, I'll be cutting the feet off this dragon toy. Also, I've got a whole bunch of paper clips here for pinning and to make the underlying armatures for what will become the elastic limbs, i.e. the legs on this thing. Right, so let's get started, shall we? So the first thing I had to do was separate the Chaos Hound's head from the body. Using my clippers, I removed the hound's front legs, and then took the body with my saw. It took a bit more trimming and sawing, but finally I managed to get the head to fit onto the new body. Then I glued the two parts together with copious amounts of polystyrene cement, and while that was setting, I moved on to the mechanoid arms. I filed down the ends of the War Machine pieces, clipped off the Chaos Warrior gauntlets, and finally drilled, pinned and glued the pieces together. Then I began work on the eye stalks. Basically, this was just a matter of cutting off the original eye stalks and then drilling and pinning them onto the ends of paper clips. And here's a nice clear picture of all the bits so far. For the base, I chose one of these new oval ones that Games Workshop makes now. And using techniques divulged in previous videos, I attached some plastic flagstones. The most difficult part of the build was finding a way to represent the Ironheart skin. After weighing up a few options, I grabbed some scrap plasticard and cut it into lots of tiny square scales. Then, after test fitting the arms and the tail, I began gluing on the little individual scales one by one. This took some considerable time. At this point I added the eye stalks, and inserted a few bits of paper clips into the head to represent the crown of flesh fingers. And then it was time to start work on the legs. I cut the warg's legs off at the knees and then drilled holes into the remaining leg. Then I cut the feet off the dragon toy. Glued 3 of them down onto the base. And then drilled holes into what was left of the ankles. Then I used florist wire to join it all together and create the armature for the elastic limbs. This step was rather tricky and required various adjustments as I went on. Finally, I attached the tail, and the arms, and the initial construction was complete. So, here's my Chaos Mutant so far. Right. Oh, this came out weird. So I've got my bits of beholder eye stalk there, forming the eye stalk. It's got wire there, it's going to be sculpted over. The crown of flesh, that's more wire. Got the War Machine Things arms with the Chaos Warrior gauntlets on to make the mechanoid arms. Got myself the Hero Quest Orc sword on there. Chaos Hound head there. Oh, look at that face. Definitely one of the weirdest things I've ever made so far. Got the warg body here, which is now mostly covered in little squares of plasticard to form the Ironheart skin. It's got the old classic Warhammer Wolf tail on there. Close-up of the plasticard Ironheart skin / scales. That was quite tedious, but I think it's worth it for the effect. Feet from the dragon toy to make the oversized feet / razor claws. And got myself some florist wire in place of the legs at the moment. That'll all be sculpted over to make the elastic limbs. Yeah, quite pleased with this so far, but my god is it weird looking. And it's gonna get weirder as I finish the sculpting, I guess. Okay, time to do some sculpting. I heard recently if you combine milliput and Greenstuff, you can make a more manageable material, so I thought I'd give it a try. So, armed with my various sculpting tools and my new wonder material, I set about sculpting. Now, I'm going to be honest here, I didn't really get on with the mixture of Greenstuff and milliput, and while the sculpting on the eye stalks and the gap filling and the fur textures I did on the body came out okay, the one leg I did with this mixture was an absolute mess, so I ended up pulling off the material and just starting all over again. So I redid the legs using Greenstuff, and you know what? It turned out much better. And here we are, all the building and sculpting finished. Yeah, this is about ready to be sent off to Gav now. I'll have to find a little box to stick it in. Yeah, fairly pleased with this. The legs came out better in the end using just Greenstuff and not the ill-advised mixture of Greenstuff and milliput. I just about got away with the Greenstuff milliput mixture for the sculpting on the head and the eye stalks, but I'm glad I redid that leg. The legs look a lot better in just Greenstuff. I'm not the world's greatest sculptor, but I get by. I did alright on this. I think if I'd have found some thinner plastic art scraps, I could have done that thing where you push a pin through from the other side to make rivets on these, but you know what, this came out pretty well anyway, and it's got this kind of metal crystalline scale thing going on, which I think works nicely. Bizarre Chaos Hound jaws work really nicely for the poisonous bite fangs, I think. And of course we've got the War Machine arms there, mounted upside down, sort of coming over the shoulders. Yeah, quite pleased with that look. It's quite bizarre, and I've got the HeroQuest Orc sword on there. Looks chaosy enough without having to look magical, which is good. The oversized dragon feet with their claws, of course, looks ridiculous, but that's kind of the idea behind the oversized body part, and it worked well with the razor sharp claws mutation as well. Here's an unpainted HeroQuest elf for scale. Right, I better find a box for this and send it off to Gav then. And that's about it for this vlog. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you're subscribed to my channel, like this video. I need a goodbye catchphrase.
Next time on Mort's Miniatures Vlog.
Mr. Andy, fire photon torpedoes!
How? This is a flat, not a starship.
Mr. Chris, give me full power!
Captain, the boiler cannot take it.